The Angular applications that we've been playing around up to this point, it uses the default routing mechanism, which is Angular route. And that's not the one we use in production for our development.
Yeah.
We use a more advanced version, which is called Angular UI router, okay, which is uses a state-based paradigm where each view that you're looking at is represented by a different state, okay, and not only is it I think more intuitive to understand the application as in being in different states, right? But it also allows us to do something that is not possible using the standard Angular router, which is allows you to nest views, like a view inside of another view inside of another view, by allowing you to implement nested states. So states that can allow you to go into deeper states and create a hierarchy, a tree of states, which is very, very powerful that you cannot do with out of the box Angular. Angular 2 will provide this mechanism, but not Angular 1. So it's a pretty standard library, the Angular UI router, and we use it all throughout our application. So I thought we should learn how to play around with it. All right, so I'm gonna.
Sorry, did you send the link?
Yeah, it's in the meeting.
It's in the meeting request.
Yeah. All right, so I'm gonna create a little. I'm gonna create a directory so we can play around with Angular UI router. So I'm gonna create a directory called UI router. Okay. And let's create a hello world there. So I think this will also be useful as a review of just plain old Angular, right? But with a twist of using UI router instead. Okay. All right, so I'm going to create a hello world here. Hello dot or the index page. Sorry, I'm going to create an index page where we can start using Angular UI router. So let's load the libraries. The libraries are, let's see. First, let's load Angular. So that's in let's see. That's in JS, and there's Angular. There it is. And I'm also going to load now the UI router. Okay. Right, so that's in script source, and that's under JS / there it is. Angular UI router.
Mm-hmm.
You see that? Yeah.
I actually connected, so what should I do?
Oh, you were able to connect?
Yeah.
All right, so just press there. There it is.
Oh, okay.
See, why can you connect and none of us?
Did you download it?
What?
You have to double click on this click
I
share.
did. We did. Yeah, we all did that. Yeah.
Oh, wow. I don't know.
It used to work for me. I don't know. Now it doesn't work for me. All right, there it is. So we have both. We have. Oh, are you sharing?
Oh, sorry.
So we have both. We have the Angular library and we have the UI router. Okay. So let's create a little app and we'll call it something trivial. We'll say ng app hello app. Okay. Let's declare the script side of this, right? And we'll call it just app.js. Right, where are we going to declare this hello app? Yes? So let's say new JavaScript app.js. And here's where we define that the module that's going to contain our application, right? So Angular dot module and it's hello app, right? And now we're going to make a dependency. Remember that we used to make a dependency with ng route. Okay, that's the standard out of the box Angular router. Instead, we're going to make a dependency with UI router. Right? That's not the default one. Right? This is a different one. This is the one we use in our application. Okay. So we'll just say for now. We'll just say let's also bring let's see bootstrap link href CSS bootstrap. And let's say that this is a style sheet. And for now, we'll just say div class container fluid. That's just going to add some margins on either side. And we're just going to say h1 hello. Hello world. Let's start this. Let's see. Okay, and let's navigate to that. And this would be localhost 3000 UI router. Hello world. So we're there, right? So it's the most trivial application, so trivial that it doesn't do anything. All right. So what we want to do is in our app, right, if you remember, we would use configuration to be able to configure all those routes. Same thing, right? We're gonna pass it to a configuration function that's gonna configure this. But instead of route provider, which is the standard using the out-of-the-box Angular router, this uses a different one. It's called state provider, where you can configure different states. Okay, you can say that the application is at different states, right? You can declare states. You can say there is a hello state, right? And you can declare different attributes of the state. You can give it names, hello. You can give it what the URL should be to be able to navigate to that state. Hello. You could tell it also what do you want to render. You can either point it to a file that you want to render, an HTML file, or you can give it here the actual HTML, right? Hello state. So let's first do this one really, really simple. And let's declare that state. You can say state provider, this is a state. This hello state is a state. And I can have any number of states. Right now I just have one state. The application can only be in that particular state, yes? Or no, it can either be in an undefined state, right? An unknown state, or this predefined state, okay? Now, the state can be invoked or triggered, right, in different ways, right? It can be triggered by you clicking on a hyperlink and navigating to a state, which would put the application in that state. Or you can programmatically say, go to that state, right? So let's first create a hyperlink which will take us to that particular state, right? So to do that, the UI router declares a couple of new directives, right? The UI-sref, right? It's like href, but a little more powerful. It doesn't refer to an HTML location. It refers to a state, right? This link will navigate you to the following state, yes? And you can say a state. This is the name of the state, right? The name of a state. So hello, right? That's this state, right? And the URL could be whatever you want. You can say this is the URL that will navigate you to that state, right? Or this is the state. The name of the state is kind of like a abstraction, right, of a URL. The URL is an implementation detail, right? A state is a higher level abstraction of a URL. Okay.
So what if you have same name in a different?
They don't have to be. Oh, where? I'm sorry.
Like you create hello state 2, right?
Yes.
And there also the name is hello. Then what?
No, they would have to be different.
Oh.
States would have to be. They have to be unique. They have to uniquely be identifiable states. You can have substates. So you could have a under state, under hello state, and under the goodbye state, you can have substate that have the same names, right, but have a different parent.
Oh, okay.
So let's have just this one, right, and then we're going to say here, hello, right. So we have that link hello, right? That's the link hello. Right now it doesn't do anything. If I click on it, it is actually going to navigate there. Right? Notice that the URL changed, right? /hello, and it changed to the URL that is configured here. Right? Whatever the URL is configured there. Right?
Why is the exclamation mark there in the
Right. So exclamation is excuse me. It's a Google standard. Well, standard that it's used because for crawlers, search engines like Google. Since the search engines are designed to go to a page and start indexing, parsing it, and extracting all sorts of information. But more and more, those pages are dynamic pages. So when they get there to a page, the only thing that they see is maybe 10 lines of code, because everything else is dynamically generated.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So the browser, the crawler, the spider, doesn't see anything to index. There's nothing there for me to index. Right? You would need to render, right, all that JavaScript and render the page to then parse the DOM, not the HTML that it gets. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Google came up with this standard that if you put up, it's called a hash bang
Mm-hmm.
or shebang.
Mm-hmm.
So hash and then the bang, that is a clue to the crawler that says, oh, there is a separate file. You can go to this other URL, which is static, right? And that one indexed that other page, right? So this is a clue that there's another page that has the following, that has a question mark, hello equals something something or other, right? So this would not be a dynamic page; it would be a static page,
Mm-hmm.
or at least a server-side rendered page.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, it's a Google standard. Most crawlers, most search engines are, I think, adopting the same standard, but it's for search engines. And Angular, the latest versions of Angular, they all impose this new style of URLs. All right, so the hash bangs. Anyway, where was I? Okay, right. So we
Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
Maybe we could just back up for a second. So when you first went to the page, you just had UI router, and we just saw hello world and the button, or we already had the full UI.
Yeah, it was like this, right? It was
Right,
in
okay.
no
And
state.
then when you clicked on the button, then the URL changed. Is it?
The URL chain, yes.
Oh, okay, thanks.
Right. It knows that it's in that URL. It's in that state, but there's nothing rendered. Yeah.
Where is the hello world coming from?
Oh, it's just static. Right now it's just static.
Okay, so when you
Yes.
click the hello, you went and got that. Can you go back to the code?
No, it's not really going anywhere. Right?
Oh.
It's staying here.
Oh, okay.
Right? What's missing still is the same thing we had in Angular. If you remember, we had UI view.
Yeah.
UI view was a placeholder where templates were injected dynamically. This has similar, but it's called UI view instead. Right? That one was ng view. This is UI view. Right? And this is where all the dynamic content will be rendered as you navigate between states. Right? As you navigate from one state to another state, right? The dynamic content will be rendered in this injected into this portion. So if we back up and refresh and we click on hello, there it is, hello state. Right? So the bottom half is the rendering for that particular state. Okay? Plus anything we want to have static above it, right? Like menus and maybe a navigation bar at the top or whatever, right? But anything that's dynamic, right, would be in this UI view, right? Dynamically injected. Right? Let's add a couple more states.
So you can have just one view,
You can have any number of views.
but then how do you tell which view to show your?
You can name them. You can name the views, right? But we're not going to do that just yet.
Okay.
Right? And and even better, what's more interesting is you can nest them.
Okay.
Right? Like states within states, views within views within views, which is absolutely not possible with Angular, ng-route, the out of the box Angular implementation. So that's what's really exciting about UI router. So let's create just a couple more states, just so that illustrate it a little better, and we'll create a goodbye or bye state. Hello, goodbye. So we have two links now, and we'll say that this refers to a by state, which doesn't exist. Right? That state does not exist. So let's create that state. Let's create a brand new state.
So before you create the state,
Yeah.
if you go back to the browser,
Yeah.
And what hyperlink shows up if you just hover over goodbye?
It's undefined because that state is not defined.
Oh,
Right.
okay. Is it clickable?
It is clickable, but it's not pointing to anything. It's like href, nothing.
Oh, okay. Got it.
Right. Whereas this one, notice that it was rendered right at the bottom. Oh, I can't see it. You can't see it. There. See that? It's if I hover over it.
Yeah.
Right there it is. It
Yeah,
says
hello.
this hello.
Yeah.
That's because the UI, because this guy, right?
Yeah.
This says it's reading this configuration, right? It says it's this URL, right? And it's rendering that URL dynamically. Okay. So let's create a couple more states. So we'll call this, goodbye state. Okay, and this will say hello. This is bye, the name, and this could be goodbye. And it says goodbye state. Okay, and let's declare it too, that is a state. So if I go back here, so this hello maps to this hello right here, maps to this name right here, hello, yes?
Yeah.
And this bye maps to this bye right here. So the URL that will be rendered is this for hello, right? And this is the URL that will be rendered for the bye state, right? So if we go back and render this, right, and then I hover, notice that indeed that is the URL. See that goodbye,
Yeah.
right? And with it says hello. So it read that configuration. So if I click on goodbye, right, it renders one or the other. Everybody okay? Everything good? All right. One common theme to simplify the creation of these states, right, is that we can actually create this as a var, as an array of states, right? So this is one state, right, and this is another state as another object, as an array of states. So now what we could do is just iterate over the states and just declare all of them, right? Instead of just doing one by one. So to do that, we can do state dot for each. So iterate over each one, and give me each state one at a time. So for each state, I can declare the state provider state. Oops, state. Right. So now so this is exactly the same thing, right? It's just that now I can just focus on implementing new states and just pasting them in here without having to declare them at the bottom. Make sense? Or even better, what we do in our implementations, these arrays are declared in JSON files, all right, as part of JSON files that are read in dynamically. Right, and then we iterate over those, right, and we declare all the states, right? But I'm declaring it here just for convenience.
So how would you invoke a JSON file here?
We'll do that in a minute.
Oh, okay.
So I think we're back to where we were. Let's see. Goodbye. Well, yeah. Okay. All right. So the other typical thing is that we don't actually have text in here, right? Instead, the more common thing to do is to use template URL, right? And tell it it's that file over there contains the HTML. So we could say something like go fetch it in templates hello.html. So let's do that. Let's declare here templates and declare here HTML. hello.html. Oops. Let's do h1 hello state template, right? And let's do the same thing for the for this one, right? So it'll be templates or maybe something like by.html. Right, so let's declare that here. New HTML by.html. Goodbye state. Make sense?
You forgot the URL. Template URL.
Oh, thank you. So this template URL. Very good. Thank you. All right. So if we go back and refresh, it still works, right? We can go hello. Notice that it has the new text, right? Template. Right. So it's the new. That makes sense?
Yeah.
Right. And controllers behave just the same way. So let's just declare a couple of controllers. So for instance, for this one, we're going to say that the controller is hello controller. And we'll declare a controller for the goodbye. Say controller, and this is the bye controller. Right? Implemented in a separate directory of controllers, where we can declare hello.controller.js. So let's create a function. An iffy and declare it here, Angular.module. I think it was hello app, was it? And then controller, this is hello controller, implemented in a function of the same name, using the scope, saying scope.hello equal hello from hello controller. Right? And let's do the same thing with the by controller. So the by controller, we're just going to replace this with by. So this one, this one, this one, and this will be by. This is goodbye. Goodbye is one word, right? And this is from by controller. All right? That means that in the templates, I should be able to render them, right? I should be able to render hello, and I should be able to render bye. Yes? All right? So we need to just load those two controllers. Load the controllers, so that's inside of controllers, and we have the hello controller, and we have the script source, we have the controllers, and we have the by controller. There it is. Hello from the hello controller, and goodbye from the goodbye controller. Everybody okay? Are you still with me? Mm-hmm. All right. Awesome. So let's do a couple more things. Let's load some dynamic JSON, like you mentioned earlier, and let's play around with movies. So we'll create a data file, and it'll contain a list of movies that we want to be able to fetch. Yes. So this will be movies.json, and in here we'll have an array of objects, and we'll have IDs for the movies. 1, 2, 3. We'll have a title, aliens, and let's declare just a couple of movies. And this will be Terminator, and this would be Avatar, and Titanic.
You mean a little bit about your personality?
I have a thing for James Cameron. So we have 4 movies. So let's create a service that fetches this JSON file. So let's declare here services, and this will be a movie service, right? So it will be JavaScript. So movie service .javascript. So function, and let's declare, let's say Angular module, and hello app, right? Hello app, and we're going to declare a service Remember, there's two ways of creating services, right? It's either with the factory or the service, right? Different styles, but you get the same thing, right? The same functionality. So I'm going to create a movie service, implement it in a function of the same name. Function. And it's going to use the HTTP service to go fetch data from the server. From the server's point of view, this will look like a relative path looking in a directory that is hosted by the server. So this only works if you're running it with either in Node.js, a hosted server, but it won't work if you're running it with a file, just the file itself, right? Because the browser can't access the file system, right? It needs to go to a server. It'll be a relative path. So let's go fetch it. We're going to say this is going to return a promise, right? Because it's going to be asynchronous, right? And it's going to do HTTP. I'm going to go fetch get. I'm going to generate an HTTP get, and I'm going to look for. Notice it's relative, right? So it's relative to the where this is being loaded, relative to index, right? To where this file is being loaded. And I'm looking for movies.json, right? .json.
So you can use HTTP to get files in the file system?
Yeah.
Oh,
In the file, not in the from the server's point of view.
Oh, okay. So you're hitting the server, and the server.
The server is returning it, right? So the browser says, "It's not me. It's the server who's fetching it."
Yeah.
Right? It happens to be in the same file, though. Okay, so I get it, and so this returns a promise. So if you remember this, it came back from the server wrapped into a data object, into a meta object that had some meta information, such as the status of the request, if there were any errors, blah blah blah. Right. So sometimes you could unwrap that in the controller. But I think it's better to unwrap it at the service level. The controller should just get the data unwrapped. Right? It doesn't know where it came from. It just receives the data. So we're going to unwrap it here. So this function is going to be called with the response from the server, but it's going to have the actual data is in so the response is a metadata, which includes a .data property that is the actual data that comes from the server, right? So this is going to return response.data. Right? So the data is what is contained. So this array is going to be in that data. Let's print it out just to show you. Console.log, the response that comes from the server. When we get it in a minute. Okay? Oh, I'm sorry. This is the function. Sorry, I'm wrapping this in a function. Function get all movies. So I'm wrapping this in a function. So this function returns all these things. And I'm tying this function get all movies. I'm tying it to the instance of the service, right? So when this gets called, whoever references this service will get the instance of this constructor. This is a constructor, so we'll create this instance, and that instance will have this function tied to that instance. Right? So anybody who has a reference to movie services will be able to call get all movies and invoke this function. Yes? Right? Okay. So we have the service. Let's load it. Let's load it from the index page. Let's load it. Script source services movie services. There we go. All right. So let's use a controller, right, that fetches this. Actually, before we get there. Let's. So we started working from the back end this way, right? Let's work a little bit from the front end that way, and somewhere we'll meet in the middle, right? So let's go to the front end a little bit, and let's create a template for this. Let's create a template.
Question about
yes.
the injection. You didn't seem to need to inject the HTTP.
I did.
Oh, you did that. I missed it.
There it is.
Yeah. That's an argument that's being passed in. I guess I'm missing where HTTP is being defined.
Right, anything that starts with $,
It's
Right.
coming straight from Angular.
from Angular, yeah. Like,
Okay.
so $scope, $HTTP, all those are declared. I'm declaring a new one, which is services. So that's how I'm going to be able to inject it, right? Because it's declared. Right? But I myself don't have to declare $HTTP. Because those are native to the Angular framework. So anything that starts with $ are native services that are declared by Angular.
Gotcha.
But any other services that I want to declare, I can create myself like this, and then I can inject them. I can inject them just by name. Wherever I refer to it by name, it will get injected. So when we get to the controller, then I'm going to ask that by name. I'm going to say, "Oh, give me the movie services," and Angular says, "Ooh, where's that? Oh, it's that service right there. Right? I'll pass you that instance." So let's create a template for these movies. So I'm going to say movie. This will be movies dot. So movie list.html. So this is going to list all the movies, yes? So this is going to be h2 movie list. All right? And for now, it's just going to spit out the list of movies. So movies, right? They're going to be in the scope. Right now, I don't have a movies, but and how I can navigate to it by declaring a new state. Right, I'm going to create a new state, a brand new state, called, yes?
Sorry to ask some questions.
Yeah,
but,
no.
You have a global scope, and each of your states is going to get its own scope, or it's only
The scope is determined by the controller.
Okay.
Right? When you have nested states, right? The scopes are inherited.
Yeah.
Between those states, so the children inherit from their parent scopes.
Gotcha.
Thank you. So there's going to be movies, or whatever we want to call it, movies, and this the URL we'll call it maybe movie list, and this is going to go into movie list, right? And there will be a controller. I don't have a controller just yet. And we'll create a link for us to navigate there, yes? So let's create a link. This will say movies, and this will say movies. So this link, right, it's matching this one over here, right? And the URL will be movie list. And it'll render movie list over here, this one right here, which right now it just says H2 movie list. Yes? Let's try that. So if I render this and I click on movies, it just says movie list. Right? I don't have the list yet. I need a controller for that. All right? So let's create a controller for this. Let's create a little controller, and we'll say controller movie list controller. And notice that we've been using scope, $scope, which we've said oftentimes that sometimes is considered bad practice to use $scope. So instead, I'm going to use the controller as, meaning I'm going to refer to the controller instance using the model variable. Okay, that means that from within the template, if I want to refer to the model, all my variables are going to be scoped to the instance of the controller, and the name is model. Yes, right? By just like I said it here, right? So let's create a controller for this. So let's say controller new. JavaScript, so this will be movie list controller, right? And so this one is going to go fetch, it's going to use the service, right? That service we just wrote, right? So here's Angular, that module. I'm going to go fetch the hello app, and I'm going to declare my new controller, and I called it movie list controller. And apply to this, right? And here I'm going to use that service, right? I'm going to use that service I created earlier. So it's movie service, right? It's being injected just by using it. I'm going to say movie service, go fetch me all the movies, right? Get all movies. Is that what I called it? I forget. I think I called it that, right? That's going to return a promise, which I'm going to listen in, right? But the object that I get here is the unwrapped object, right? Because the service unwrapped it for me, right? So I actually get the list of movies right here, right? And now I got to send it to my template. And the way we're going to do that is we're going to declare a local variable model that is tied to the current instance, right? And I'm going to send it movies. Right, so that's how I send it over to the template. Yes?
I'm just thinking about this object.
Yeah. So this is this function is treated like a constructor, right? So it creates an instance of this class, and when using new, and then this function. So in the function we get a pointer or reference to the current instance of the object, and we're saying that I'm creating a brand new variable. I can call it whatever I want. I could just say this dot movies. I could do that too, right? Right. But the more common thing is to declare a local variable and just tie it to that. Okay. All right. So let's see.
I think in our code we often seem to do model equals scope dot model dollar scope.
Yeah,
model.
we'll still use $ scope. Yes. Yeah. But we tie model to the variable in the scope. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's halfway there. Yeah.
Okay.
But then why even use scope then? Because you said using scope, like you said, model dot scope.
Yeah, so we don't use exactly this design pattern, right? We use this. We say $ scope, right? And we say that we do this. We say $ scope dot model.
Actually, we normally say var model equals scope dot model equals object.
Right, we should just say var model. It's empty at first, right? And just say model. Yeah, this is the pattern that we follow. And then we tie everything there. We say $ scope. We just tie model.movies, and then we tie everything to the model. I personally don't like that, but I think it's a what I've seen used more widely is this pattern over here, tied to the link to the instance of the controller.
So you can remove scope now, right?
Yes, I don't need it. Okay. All right, so we need to load that controller. We need that controller, and it's script source controllers movie controllers. There it is. Right. So there it is. So we have the array of movies there that comes from that service, right? Because we injected it. We can make it look a little prettier, perhaps. Movie list, just by iterating over it, maybe in a UL, saying that this is a list group and these are line items, and we can say maybe a list group item, and then render this. Just iterate over those movies. So repeat, repeat, movie inside of model.movies, right? And then render here movie.title. Yeah, something a little prettier, right? Everything okay? All right. So the next thing might be that I want to navigate to like a details page, right? So if I click on it, I navigate to a different view that renders some detailed information, right? So maybe we could add a couple more things here. So the title, I guess these are all R. No, I guess Avatar's PG-13, right? So we can have a rating. This is R. Huh? Oh yeah, I think so. So Terminator was R. Avatar was PG-13. Okay. what, I don't know, what else? We'll just do the title and the rating, right? So what I'd like to be able to do is have a another page that might render the details of the page, right? So like we can have like a master-slave page. We can navigate between the two. So you could have here like a movie details page, right? And then, wait, no, sorry, template, like a an HTML that says movie details.html that renders H2 a movie, a model, right? Dot movie dot title, and here might be label rating, so rated, and then this would be something like model dot movie dot rating, something like that, right? So we need to inject data here. We need a controller to do this, right? Actually, before we go there, let's declare this as a brand new state. So we'll call this maybe movie details, right? And so this is also movie details, and render in movie details. Movie details. No control yet. Let's not have a control just yet. So we want to navigate here. So the way we could navigate is from the list. From the list, if I click on maybe the name of the movie, I like to navigate to the details page, right? So for instance, what we could do is say these are all hyperlinks, right? The title of the movies are all hyperlinks. And then I could say that the UI reference is movie details, right? So that will navigate me to movie details. Right? Actually, I think it's going to work, but I don't have anything to render. So I think maybe we should say here H1 details, because I don't have this. I don't have this object yet, so nothing would render. Let's see, if I click on this, right, and I click on aliens, it goes to details, but I don't have any data yet, right? They all navigate to that, right, but they don't have any. Make sense? Are we okay? We need to pass an argument, right, saying that, oh, it's this particular movie that I want you to show you. So somehow I need to pass a parameter, right? So for instance, the state needs to say, it's movie details, plus you need to pass me a parameter, something like maybe the movie ID, right? Pass me as a parameter. So to do that, right? In the movie details, which is this state, movie details right here, right? I need to pass that parameter. Right? So to do that, the way you do it is this becomes a kind of like a function, right? Where you can pass an object that has all the attributes that you want to pass as arguments, right? So for instance, we want to pass movie detail, movie ID, right? Where's the value of that? As we're iterating, the movie has that information, right? So it's movie dot underscore ID, right? Yeah. If I re-render this and I hover over this, notice that the IDs have been mapped there. See that? 1, 2, 3, 2, 3, 4, 3, 4, 5, 4, 5, 6, right? Okay. So that if I click on it, I navigate it, and notice that the URL has the correct setting. See that? If I go back, Terminator, Avatar, Titanic. See that? Okay. So what I need to do is somehow the controller needs to parse this out, right, and then go fetch the details for that movie, right? So let's do that. Let's have a controller. Let's create a controller here. I'm going to just copy this controller here because it's going to be very similar. So movie details controller, right? So the movie details controller. So will be movie. I'm going to replace this with movie details. I'll replace all. So movie details, movie service. So what it needs to do is parse out that ID, right, from the URL. So to do this, if you remember in just Angular, you use wrap params. Remember that? Wrap params to be able to parse the URL. Here we use state params. State params, right? And we can parse out the movie ID from state params using the name that we gave it, the name that we gave it, movie ID, dot movie ID. So now we have a local variable of that. Now we have to go fetch that movie. Yes.
So state params is defined by just the colon.
So state
They're
params.
stuck into the state definition of the URL, and then it comes in as a JSON, a JavaScript object here,
Yes.
and it's just the pounds in the URL. That's all it
Yep.
defines.
Yeah. Exactly. Yep. Not the pound, the colon.
The colon.
Yep. So now we have to go fetch that movie, right? Fetch that particular movie. So we say get movie by ID, right? I'm going to pass movie ID. So we don't have that yet, right? We don't have that. So we're expecting a movie here, right? And we would pass it over to the template for rendering, and there it is, right? That's the movie, right? But we don't have this yet, right? So let's go implement that in the service. So let's go in the service, and let's implement this dot get movie by ID, and so let's implement it. So function get movie by ID, and here's the movie ID, movie ID. So one thing that we could do is reuse get all movies, right? Reuse get all movie because it's already fetching all the movies, right? We could just iterate over it and look for that movie who has that particular ID, right? So we could say, well, I'm going to return, same thing, it's going to be asynchronous, right? So we're going to say this dot get all movies, get all movies. So that returns an asynchronous, and we're going to, which already contains the array of all movies, right? So these are all the movies. So these are all movies, so all movies. I'm just looking for the movie that matches my ID. Yes? So I can just iterate over this and say, so I'm going to return the movie from all movies that if I find, I'm looking for, right? I'm looking for, so find is a JavaScript method that just iterates over an array, right? And it gives you all the instances, right, of the movies, of the objects in the array. You just have to tell me which one is it. Right, the one that matches the following Boolean expression, right? Only the one whose movie underscore ID matches the movie ID. Right, so it uses this function to find the elements in the array. Okay, so it's going to return that particular movie.
You go with 2 equals instead of 2?
I think it's a string, but I'm not sure. They're the same data types. Are they? I think so. Are they both strings? I think so. I think they're both strings. I'll assume that they're the same data type.
What's the difference?
So double equal so if you have a string on the side and you have a number on the other side, but if you cast one to the other, then they're equal. So equal is less restrictive than triple equal. Triple equal first checks whether they're the same data type. If they're not the same data type, it's not going to even bother comparing them. But double equal will, for instance, say that 1 is the same as the character 1 or the string 1, right? Whereas triple equal won't say no, they're not the same because they're not even the same data type. So it's best practice to use triple equal. Where was I? All right, so I get movie. So we don't have that controller declared in the index, I don't believe. Did we load it? I don't believe it. Let me see. We have that controller. We don't have the other controller. So movie detail, right? Details controller. And I don't believe we declared it in the app. We didn't say that this is the controller is, what was it called? Movie details controller, I think. And controller as model. Right? So if we click on aliens, notice that it comes back as a title and the correct rating. So avatars PG-13. So that's working. The problem, one of the problems here, though, is that if you look at the network, right, and you go back, notice that it's fetching the JSON file, right? And when I click on the avatar, it fetches the JSON file again, right? And if I go back, it fetches it yet again. See that? If we click on Titanic, it fetches it again.
You're doing a keyboard shortcut for back?
I'm just using the back button.
Okay.
The back button.
So you're clicking the arrow and I'm missing it somehow?
No, I'm using the
Arrow keys.
command arrow keys.
Gotcha.
And notice that it's doing a query every single time, right? So one typical thing that we want to do is to cache those queries. Right? So that if you already have it for a particular query, use the cached version. Don't go back to the server. Only hit it the first time around. So the way we could do that is on the service, right? This is the one that's really doing all the work, right? Of fetching all the movies, right? So we can turn on caching and say that we want cache true, right? And what it'll do is that it'll use this string as the key to the cache, right? It'll first look in the cache with that key. If it's not there, it'll do the query, right? Next time around, it uses this URL to look it up in the cache. If it's already there, it won't actually do the query.
So
right?
This is implemented by the HTTP service of
Yes.
Angular.
Yeah.
And just tell me a little bit more about controlling this cache.
There's a cache provider. There's a $ cache provider.
Okay.
You can create any number of caches, right, and use certain caches for different features, right? This one uses
Clear it. You need to.
right. So the $ cache provider, you can give it the key and say clear that key, right? Or remove all of them, or do individual keys. You can clear one on demand, right? Or just throw them all away.
Cool.
So, for instance, you would do that if you're doing a post or a put, right? Which would modify data in the server,
Yeah.
right? So then you clear it, so that next time around you reload everything brand new, right? So you can control it that way. So anyway, so if I go back here and I refresh, notice that the movie JSON is loaded the first time. But notice that if I go and navigate between the two, notice that I don't have any additional queries back to the server. See that? That's nice. Right? And I still have Avatar, and I have Titanic, and I have Terminator. That's all coming from the cache. Right? I haven't hit it once. All right. So up to this point, we've been we've been implementing the same thing we could implement with Angular 1, right? But using the new UI router, right, techniques. What's new, right? That you could not do with Angular 1, but you can do here, is, for instance, right? How about instead of going from here and navigating to a separate page, right? How about nesting these details, right, as a subset of this parent view, so that if I click on any one of these on the right-hand side, it gets rendered as a sub-view of this parent view. That make sense?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so let's do that. Let's go to the app and say, right, that this movie details here, actually, I want this to be a child view of this parent view. I'm sorry, a child state of this parent state, right? So let's do that. So the way we do that is that we use dot notation, like in object-oriented technology, right? We say dot, 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 right? To navigate between properties of subproperties of subproperties of subproperties, we use the dot notation. Same thing here. We can say movies dot details. Okay, now this state here is a substate of movies, right? Because it has the same name, right? And it has the dot notation, right? So this is saying that this is a brand new state. Dot details is a substate of the movies state. Make sense? Using that dot notation. So now it says, okay, fine. That means that the URL is also going to follow a hierarchical mechanism, right? So the way I navigate to this state will be as a relative to the parent URL, right? So the parent URL is movie list, right? This will be movie list slash movie ID. Okay, and same nothing else changes. The control is the same. The movie list is the same, right? The templates don't know anything. They don't have to know where they're being rendered, right? But now, because this template, right, is a subset of because of this state is now a subset of that state, it doesn't navigate to a completely separate page, right? It's meant to be rendered as a sub-template in the parent view, right? So if I go to movie list, right, I can say I have my own UI view. I'm going to inject my child state, right? My styled, my subset state inside myself. Okay. So if I render this, right? If I render it here, and I go to aliens, oops, it didn't work. Wait, did I render everything new? Movie list. I must have broken something. Wait a minute. Oh, okay. Sorry. Now notice that this state doesn't exist anymore, right? Movie dash details, right? That doesn't exist anymore. Now the state is called movie dot details, right? Where details is a subset of the movie, right? So let's re-render this. Still not rendering. What am I missing? Movie details. It's movie. Oh, movies. It's plural. Movies details. Okay, I finally understood it. See that? Now it's movie list slash 1, 2, 3, movie 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 4, 5, and so on and so forth. So if I click on it, notice that the details are appearing now on the same page, right? Embedded in the parent, right? See that? So I'm not actually navigating elsewhere, right? This is a sub view of the parent view, right? And it's rendering right here, right? Perhaps a better way to render this might be to split it left, right. So let's do a div here, maybe a row, right? And maybe have a div class column on the left-hand side and another column on the right-hand side. And so have this parent view, right, the one that drives the navigation on the left-hand side, and the child view, right, rendered on the right-hand side. Let's do it again. So there it is. So now I have Aliens, right, Terminator, Avatar, and Titanic being rendered on the right-hand side. See that? And you can repeat this, over and over. You can have a parent of a child that has another child that has another child that has another child. You can make views more complex, right? Just by injecting this content. Yes?
I am sorry to interrupt. Can
Yeah.
you look at the view again? I just went by a little fast
This one?
Yes.
Yeah, so this left-hand side, right? This is what used to be here. Right? This used to be there, right? This left-hand side. And this used to not be here, right? We were actually navigating to a completely different state with its own view, with its own everything, right? But now, right, it's becoming a subset, a subview of a parent state.
I'm a little lost on this.
Okay.
So the UI view was so we have two states, three states.
We have two states, right? We have we have a parent state and then we have a child state,
right? And we have,
which is this one, right? This is the parent state, movies. This is the parent state, right? And here's a child state, right? A substate of the movies.
and the UI view is only rendering the child state now.
Right. So it's rendering this. It's rendering this on the left-hand side.
So rendering that on one div, and the other div is
right. And any child things are being rendered. So this is now a child, right? So I'm not going to navigate to a completely different page, right? It's going to be rendered, right, in the view down
but
here.
how is it bound to this particular view? That I couldn't understand. Like, why is the child showing up in UI view?
That's the nature of my question as well.
It's
Because you have two UI views. One is in the index.html.
so that's okay. So we have several nested ones, and we're gonna nest a couple more, right? So you could have, right? You could have any number of subsets, right? So this is maybe movies. You might have a new movie, so that allows you to create a new movie, for instance, right? And depending on whether I navigate to details or navigate to new or navigate to whatever I navigate to, right? They're all going to be rendered on this child view, just like when we were in the index page, right? Just like when we were in the index page. Where's the index page? Remember, in the index page we had, right, 4 links, right? And depending on the whichever I clicked on, right, they were all rendered in this UI view.
Oh, so the links have to be in the same page as the UI view.
Well, for the parent,
Yeah,
right?
for
the parent link, right?
Yeah.
And those navigate to states, right?
Yeah.
And those substates, right, rendered in my child view.
So my confusion is that these 3 states defined here, right?
Yep.
I can understand if there's a UI view within the same page, these 3 states will show up there, right?
Right. Exactly. So all these are root states.
Yeah.
Right?
If you go back to the other one.
So check this out, right? So these are 3 states.
Yeah.
And they all rendered in UI view.
Yeah.
Right. So same thing here. So if I go to route, that means that hello, buy, and movies, they all render in UI view.
Yeah.
And then you can repeat the same idea, right? Movies declares 4 different links, which navigate to substates, right? And they all render.
Yeah, but how
in
does
the
Angular
one.
know that? Because you have only 2 views, right, which have the same name. You have
Yeah, and they're nested.
and
they're
they're
nested.
nested.
So this UI view right here, right, in the list, right, is in the context of the movies state.
Oh, I see.
Right. So this whole page, right, this entire page,
Yeah.
is declared here,
Can we
movie
look at
list.
the elements of the result? Will we see UI view in the elements?
Where?
View in the Chrome if you load the page
In the DOM.
in the DOM.
Oh, in the DOM. Okay.
The elements view. Do we see UI view listed?
So here we have. Well, let me close this. So there's UI view,
And inside
This
there's
is-
another UI view.
and there's going to be another UI view, and this is the other UI view.
Yeah. Okay. And that's the nesting is the secret.
Yes, and which you can't do in Angular. You know, the nestings of states. So this is very common when you have like a left-hand side, right? And then as you click on the left-hand side, the right-hand side changes with a whole bunch of tabs, right? And then when you click on the tab, then you have each one with maybe pills, right? And when you click on a pill, all sorts of things happen. So those are all nested, right? So you have a parent that drives the left-hand side, you have a child that drives the right-hand side, and the right-hand side has many stepchildren that create this hierarchy of a root that have several top-level states, each one with several children, each one with several children, each one with several children, right? Which you can't implement. Well, I mean, you can, but it's very, very extremely convoluted with Angular 1. Angular 2 is standard. It comes with this mechanism.
When you say Angular 1, you mean not using UI
router. Right. Yeah, using
Using
ng
ng
route. Yes, ng route is the standard Angular 1 routing mechanism. That make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. We can play around with this some more, where we can have maybe where is it in movie list, right? We could I don't know. Do you have enough time? 4:41. I was gonna hit a search. Let's see. Can we do that? Index. So movies. These are my movies, and I can create a so search movies, right? And in search movies, we can have a template, perhaps that allows me to search for movies, right? So movie search, right? that maybe would have maybe an input field with a class form control, right, with an ng model of maybe a title, right, and maybe a button that is a button and has button primary and button block that if I click on it, calls my controllers search movie, and I pass it as argument the title. And this is search. Make this a little bit readable, more readable. There we go. Okay. And so let's navigate there by declaring a brand new state, right? And we'll call this movie search. Right, so we'll call and we'll point this to search. Right, and the template is movie search, and there'll be a controller, something like movie search. Search, and okay.
You changed the details to new.
Where?
Line 34.
34. Oh no, I added one. I just added it.
Oh, okay.
I was just giving an example of several sub children. So movie search is over here. Let's navigate there by UI. What I called it? What's the name? Movie search, right? So movie search. Let's see. So if I refresh and I click on search movies, oops, something went wrong. Let's see. Movie search, UI ref, movie search, search, templates, movie search. Oh, we don't have a controller for this. So let's remove it for now. What are you complaining? No, resolve movie search state, movie search. Now resolve movie search name movie search URL templates movie search. Why can't you resolve it? Name.
Oh, you named movies search.
Oh. There it is. Okay, so we're going to type here the name of the movie, and let's create a controller for this. So let's copy here. I'll call it movie search, and we'll call this movie search. And so we'll say replace, and replace, and this will be a movie service. Search, so search movie, right? Search movie and by title. So search movie or search movie by title, okay? Which we don't have, right? And we want to invoke this when we click on that button, right? And we'll say gonna model dot search. What did I call it? I forget. I called it search movie. Actually, let's use the same name everywhere so that I can keep it straight in my head. Search movie by title. So this is search movie by title. And implement it in a function of the same name. And the function is right here. And there's the title right there. And it's going to make use of our service, right, to search for the movies. Yes? Right, and then it's going to pass the movies over to the templates. So let's put it in the template for now. This is going to be model dot movies. Movies. Right here. Yes? Okay.
So model dot movies or it's movie? You said
It's movies. Right, the whole movies. All the movies.
Oh.
So the search movie by title will return a list of movies that match those
A
movies.
wildcard match.
Yes, a wildcard match. Yeah, so if I search for Batman, it'll search for the top 10 maps. All right, so let's do that. Let's go to the service and let's implement that. This will be this dot search movie by title, implemented in a function of the same name, so function, and receive the title, right? So to do this, we're gonna use a service in the cloud to be able to search for these four things. So there's one free one that uses the IMDb database. So let's and you can search it by using the following URL. Right? You can say var the URL is that, right? Oops. Right, you can say the search term is the title. Okay, and then we can do the actual query. You can say return $HTTP.get the URL. This is going to return a promise, right? And it's going to return a result. Okay. And the data is actually in there. Right? We're going to say return. No, actually, this is a response. Right? This is a response from the server. So there's response. Response that data. Right? Okay.
I thought you could call that anything. It doesn't have to be.
Yeah, you can call it whatever you want.
No.
Yeah, it's. I like the name response. So in the controller here, we're going to take those movies actually, and we're going to render that, right? So let's load that controller in the index page, right? Let's load it in right here. It's script source equal controllers movie search controller. There it is, right? And let's declare it here as a controller for this state. So controller, it's what's a movie search controller, right? And I'm going to refer to it in the template as the model, right? So if we go back here and we search for avatar, notice that it comes back, right? So this is a JSON object that comes back from that service. The actual data is in the search property. Down below, there's a couple of metadata. Where is the metadata? There it is. There's a metadata like total results that match response true. So really, the object that we want is search, right? Because search has the array of movies, right? So really, what I want to do here is in the controller, I want to send move. So this is the result, really. This is the result of that search, and want to send the search. If I go avatar, notice it's an array. See that? It's an array of all the objects, and each object has a title. See that? So we can iterate over that, right? In the template. In the template, we can say iterate over that. So we can say ul class lists group, right? And iterate class list group item. So ng repeat over all the movies in model.movies, and I want to render the movie.title. Right? So if I search for Star Wars, right? There it is. Right? I have all the Star Wars movies, the top 10, or Star Trek, or whatever. You can also add like the poster as an image. Notice that the poster is right here in the poster attribute, right? So we can say that the ng source is the movie.poster. So if I search for Titanic, okay, so we get all the images. I think they're a little bit too big. So maybe I can say that the height is 25 pixels. So if I search for aliens, I get the thumbnail for those movies. Okay. Obviously, the cool thing would be, if you click, then you go to the details page. We has the actors, cast, directors.
So now what happens
like
if you go back to movies? Because this is not in a view, right?
Right. Yeah. So we didn't tie it with everything else. We
So
should
how did it disappear? It should have still stayed there, right?
movies.
No, so you just did it in a UL thing, right?
Yes.
But you didn't have a UI view for that, right?
I didn't. So this one is populating the top level view, UI view, right?
Yeah.
Right. So it's not. So all
the
these
top level, yeah.
top level.
And when
This one itself has a UI view right here on the right hand side.
Right. So how did that disappear? So when you clicked on the search, right? That was the
Yeah.
top level UI view.
Yeah.
And then you did an unordered list, right?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
But when you went back to movies, the unordered list
It's gone, right? You have to, because all those are dynamic, right? That's why Google
Oh.
can't index them, right? Because
Oh.
they're all dynamic. Without the state information
Yeah.
here after, there is no state, right? The state is entirely driven by the URL,
Right.
right? And so you need to know that if you were looking at that, that's the state, right? Right? So as you navigate between the two, notice that the state is lost, right?
If you put that in a view, what happens? The search thing in a view instead of the UL part in a view.
The UL part
In a view within the parent.
Well, that's what I was going to do next.
Oh, okay.
You go here, you search, and as you click over there, you get a details on the right hand side.
No, so go back to your code. Index.html.
Index.
You see, you put this UL without a UI view, right?
Yes, I did. Right,
8
exactly.
through 13, right? What happens if you put it inside a UI view?
I would need to make whatever that HTML is
Mm-hmm.
a child of this.
Oh, okay. I see. The search movie.
Yes. Well, the UL.
Yeah,
Only the
yeah.
UL.
Yeah.
That would need to be a child. Yes.
Okay.
And we can play around with it a little more.
So you can
That's
have
all right.
two UI views on the same
Yes,
page?
you can. You can, and you can name them. You can name them, and you can have. There's a in the app, right? There is an additional attribute here, which is views,
Yeah.
and then you can name. You can create all sorts of views. Right? You can say one view has a particular name, another view, and you can give them names, and each one can have any number of templates and controllers, right? And then you can refer to those names in the UI view. We'll do that next time around.
Okay.
If you have a few more seconds,
Yes.
I was wondering if we could take a second to look at, say, teacher routes in Send Client, where there seem to be quite a few additional fields in the definition
Right.
of the state, and if we could just talk really quickly about what those might mean compared to which ones you're using. Cool?
I need to catch a bus.
Okay, fair.
That's why I did 5.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah, we'll cover all those, right? These are some of the top level attributes, and we'll look at named views.
Very good.
All right. Awesome.
Will be pushed into we can download.
Yes.
I just pull this out.
Yep. Stop sharing.
So next week is my turn?